The growth has been coming from slightly longer term business. In other words, although we do bridging business over 1 and 2 years, we've introduced products, and we got new product of the year at the industry awards recently. And we've introduced products which allow people to do a bridging and then stay in the loan if they feel that they want to.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Anthony Coombs, the chairman of S&U. Anthony, very good to speak with you, and good news today. Profits up 32%, impairment charges more than halved. What's actually changed at S&U over the past 12 months to drive such a sharp turnaround?
I think two things there, Stephen. First of all, a very good performance from Advantage, our motor finance business. Now that it's free from the regulatory activity of the last 2 years, it's got its va-va-voom back. Volumes are up. Quality is massively improved, as you can see from the impairment figures, which are down from 33 million last year to only 13 million this year. So that's been one of the aspects, and the other one, of course, is a record performance from Aspen, our bridging business, which has done very, very well. Recorded profits of 8.8 million pounds, and so we're very confident for both of those businesses, which has meant that the group profit overall is up 32%, which we anticipated, and we got further to go in order to be able to regain our normal profitability. But we're on the way, no doubt about it.
As you mentioned, Advantage has just cleared that 2-year FCA investigation and has seen new lending jump by 44%. Anthony, how much of the growth is pent-up demand, and how sustainable is it?
Very good question. It's not pent-up demand. I think it's just the normal level of applications, but we're able to do more, free from the kind of restrictions that we've been under over the last 2 years, or we put ourselves under the last 2 years on a precautionary basis. We're no longer able to do that. We've upgraded our credit scoring model. We've streamlined our customer processes, and as a result, we're getting the benefits in terms of increased amount of business. And that's continued over into the current year, and we anticipate that we'll certainly meet or even beat our targets for this year.
You mentioned the Middle East conflict as a new uncertainty. How exposed are Advantage and Aspen to rising interest rates and a wobbling property market?
That's a very good question. Another very good question. Look, we don't live in a bubble. Nobody lives in a vacuum. I think I wouldn't be doing your listeners and your viewers any favors by pretending that. We would like the Middle East war to be finished, the same as everybody else would. At the moment, we're not seeing much impact on Advantage at all. I mean, we're almost a utility. People need the cars, and we provide them, and we provide good value cars, which I think is where the market is shifting if prices of petrol and maintaining a car go up. So I don't think there's going to be very much impact on Advantage. On Aspen, obviously, the property market is going to be affected if people feel that either interest rates are going up or that they're not coming down. My view is that they probably will continue to come down because the growth agenda for the Bank of England is very important, and they can't really jeopardize that. So although there's a sort of temporary hiatus in the property market, we do expect it to pick up in the second half, and hopefully Aspen can take advantage of that.
I mean, Aspen's delivered record profits despite that temporary hiatus. What's the secret, and where does the growth come from if conditions stay tough?
The growth has been coming from slightly longer term business. In other words, although we do bridging business over 1 and 2 years, we've introduced products, and we got new product of the year at the industry awards recently. And we've introduced products which allow people to do a bridging and then stay in the loan if they feel that they want to, and of course if it's worthwhile for Aspen to continue to finance it. And if those two conditions are met, then it's a very good source of business for us. And we found that an increasingly proportion of our business is done in that field. That doesn't mean we're going to become a mortgage lender, but it does mean that it gives additional flexibility to those people who start off by having a bridging loan.
Anthony, you quote Margaret Thatcher in your statements and call for regulatory stability. What specifically do you want to see from the FCA and government to unlock S&U's next phase of va-va-voom?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, if you look at the House of Lords Select Committee report on regulation or in the financial services industry, they talked about over-regulation. They talked about inconsistent regulation. They recommended 77 recommendations, specific ones, which they felt that the government and the FCA ought to be looking at. Now, it will be a test of the government's sincerity of purpose and sense of direction in terms of their growth agenda as to how many of those specific recommendations, which I won't go through now, there's 77 of them, they adopt. There are opportunities, no doubt about it. But I would say overall that it's important that the mindset changes. That for too long, the free enterprise system has been taken for granted. People don't believe in the free market system as a way of actually delivering good consequences and good outcomes for consumers. Well, they ought to, because it has been the most successful system ever in history, which is why the American economy is so rich, and why generally we've enjoyed very much increased standards of living in Europe over the past 50 years. Now we've got to somehow regain our confidence in the free enterprise system. We've got to regain our confidence in the profit motive. That mustn't be a dirty word. We've got to go for aspiration and wealth creation, and not regard that as somehow a way of one set of people exploiting the other. It isn't. If people get wealthier, then generally that percolates to the rest of society, and people generally find their standards of living rising. The problem is that under both Conservatives and Labour governments over the last 20 years, we've been obsessed with how the cake is divided, distribution, rather than actually growing the cake. And the cake hasn't grown at all as a result. And that's why, compared to, say, 15 years ago, standards of living generally in this country have fallen. They've actually fallen. Real incomes have fallen. Why? Because we've got more people, but we haven't got a cake that's growing. We've got to get the cake growing again.
Anthony, congratulations on those numbers you reported today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Stephen.
Anthony Coombs, Chairman of S&U.